Hey everybody, on today's episode of The Fit Rockstar, we have with us the sensational, beautiful, top Olympian, number 4 in the world, New York Pro 2020 champ, and many more beautiful things. Wonderful, MAYLA Ash. How are you today, my dear?
I am doing great. And Isabel, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Hey, thank you for flying thousands of miles away to us. Your flight was all right?
Yes, and it was worth it.
Okay. Well, good, honey. Thank you so much. Listen, I have to ask you first off, because it's fresh off the press. New York Pro, what was your thoughts on it?
The New York
Honestly, don't color coat. I
this
know.
year,
Yes,
New York
this
Pro,
year.
it was well put together, but I was slightly disappointed about the aspect from the pro levels, from women's physique and women's bodybuilding, about the amount of people that showed up.
What do you think happened there?
I honestly believe it was the same thing, that because they took a while to finalize the date, I think a lot of people had in their mind that they just might keep it in September like it was last year. Mm-hmm. And so when they finally took it and put it back at the original time period, a lot of people weren't ready to actually try to get on stage, because I had people asking me, are you going to go back and defend your title? And I was like, no, that's way too early.
Right.
You know, the schedule that I'm trying to keep, because you know how it is. I'm like, you have to have that timetable, and it might be easier for, other divisions, but when it comes to women's physique and women's bodybuilding, you've got to give that body that proper amount of rest so that you can really come in really polished and really, ripped and professional looking. And then if you have to do other shows later in the year, that's just a lot of wear and tear on you. So
it is. The quality of the women's bodybuilders, I have to ask you that, because as far as conditioning and stuff? I
think the conditioning was very good, to be honest with you. I've seen shows years past, and I'm not, because obviously women's bodybuilding wasn't in New York for quite some time, but I've seen, shows years past, pro, amateur level, where the quality was just really lackluster. And it was kind of heartbreaking to me, because I've always seen women's bodybuilding as, if open men's bodybuilding is the king of the bodybuilding, women's bodybuilding is the queens. And Absolutely. So to see the subjects to come out on stage with that type of lackluster performance, it was always heartbreaking. So I was happy, especially after the Olympia, that they did bring some pretty well put together packages. Mm-hmm. And not only just the conditioning, but their actual overall stage presence. I felt like after last year and the inaugural bringing the women's bodybuilding back into the Olympia, I felt like that put everybody on notice that, it's time to step up and show up. And I felt like they did that.
I'm going to get right into that then, and then I'll go into some other things. So, interesting with you. You started out in figure, 2013?
Yes.
Right? Now, I just saw a picture of you, and I'm like, what in the world? Because you progress bigger, beautiful. Your symmetry conditioning is by far incredible. I first got to see MAYLA in person at the Omaha, where we both won. I won the bodybuilding, you won the physique. Then we did the Dan Ray photo shoot. And I think we both had the blue. That was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I'm looking at you and I'm like, wow. This is what bodybuilding needs. Mm-hmm. The conditioning, you have that beautiful femininity. Girl, you work the camera like no tomorrow. Let me tell you. Your Instagram is dope. I love your pictures. You just flow. So you did the Omaha with me in 2018, and you were still women's physique. But then in 2020, you did the Optimum, right?
Right.
You came in 10th. Right. Which is interesting, because you did the Optimum a few years back, and then you came in 10th.
Correct.
And I'm like, what's going on there, But then after that, somebody told you to do bodybuilding. Who was it that whispered that?
It was Gary.
Gary.
Yes, it was Gary. And to be honest with you, when I did Optimum years ago and I came in 10th, I did get feedback from Gary. He was just like, MAYLA, you're getting kind of dense, but he was just like, you're on the cusp. You're on the cusp. And so usually, I take that feedback. I always take the feedback from the head judges, especially somebody like Gary, to heart. And so me saying on the cusp, it's like, okay, I just need to keep the muscle under control. The reality is that, there's certain shows depending on the region of the company the country, that the type of athlete comes in different.
Yes.
And so, in all honesty, it was because of the pandemic that I did the Optimum. Because the reality is that I was like, okay, I knew that I was on the cusp then, but I've known that I've put on a little size. And so I wanted to do something in a different area. It would have been Chicago. It would have been on the East Coast or something like that. But all the shows kept getting moved. And so it was to the point that it was like, okay, I want to requalify. So I just need to be ready to get into what show is available, because there was no guarantee there was going to be any more shows before the Olympia. And so it was right up the street from me. So I was like, okay, well, maybe, fingers crossed, because so many shows were canceled, maybe some of the bigger hitters are going to come in with me and we'll balance the stage. Not so much. Right. I knew the second I got into to check in, I was just like, I'm looking a little, thick, but I'm like, I've always had, pretty dominant shoulders. So I was like, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's fine.
You're the queen of shoulders. And physique, everything. But your shoulders definitely stand out.
What they used to call me, Deltasaurus Rex. Deltasaurus Rex.
Deltasaurus Rex.
Deltasaurus Rex.
So this isn't your stage name for, have Tom Platt's Golden Eagle, and do you have a bodybuilder nickname?
Actually, they gave me one last year. They called me Queen Cobra.
I like that. That's
Some
fire.
of the fans, I'm like, it was my New York pose when I was 4 lat spread, and they were just like, somebody was just like, Queen Cobra has one that I was just like, Queen Cobra. I was like, I like that.
That is hot, right.
So yes, but I'm like, that was the only reason that I did the show, was because I wanted to qualify, try to requalify for the Olympia. But when he told me that, I asked him, but I was just like, I don't think I'm big enough. I knew I had put on size, but I was like, am I actually big enough? And he was like, Mayla, look at the other shows. He's like, you'll be fine in women's bodybuilding. So I initially was going in the next week into New York with the mindset, because I had already signed my my contract to do women's physique. But what was the point? So I petitioned, can I switch over? And they let me.
Of course.
So my mindset was just like, okay, I'm going to do this show. I'm going to find out what improvements I need to make. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to Chicago in a couple of,
So this was the interesting thing with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time in years that the New York Pro had women's bodybuilding. So I'm there at the New York Pro, and I'm seeing you walk out, and my jaw's like, boom, hits the floor. And I'm like, wow. Beautiful conditioning, just symmetry, just everything popping. The beauty. I have never seen someone take so much detail into the look, the makeup, the hair, the suit was fly. That was really nice. It looked really great on you. You came out, you won, you became the 2020 New York Pro champ in women's bodybuilding, which was awesome. Then you went on to the Olympia, and you became 4th in the world, which is a huge honor. Out of nowhere. Now, honestly, I will be truthful with you. I personally thought you should have been moved higher. I think you should have been neck and neck of Andrea.
Well, thank you for that.
I'm just being honest, because you have the tiny waist, which it looks like your waist is like 25, 24, because it's just very tiny. You got that big lat. I mean, you're just there. No knock to the other two, because they're big and they're, champions. But my opinion, I thought that you were more up in that, because it's just wow.
Well, I really appreciate that. But I honestly felt that one of my downfalls was that I got outposed, number one. Number two, there were certain body parts that when you compare, I'm like, they were kind of lackluster. I'm like, even though I had put all the time and effort to really bring a package in that I could rival, the top 5, I wanted to, I wanted it very much, but I'm just like, when you looked at my arms and when you looked at my quad sweep compared to everyone else, I was so busy trying to make sure that my posing was correct, because I still had that woman's physique,
Open
right?
hands.
So it was like, everybody else is on stage is hitting their poses, and I'm on stage is, remember to keep your hands closed, fully flex, because when I was women's physique, I couldn't do that. I could flex, but I couldn't fully flex because I was always on the cusp. I always came in completely depleted, and I really couldn't pump up backstage when I was in women's physique. Right. So, it was different. I was free, but it was still this kind of it was still the problem of me remembering that I was free. So I would get on stage and get caught up in the moment, and you could see certain pictures that they were doing the comparisons and my legs wouldn't look as full, but then you would see another comparison and then they were just rivaling. And so that I felt like that was a situation that I would occasionally forget to fully, position myself to fully bring out, the width of my back and the fullness of my legs and just the depths of my arms. And so I felt like not taking away from what anybody's done, not taking away from anybody's conditioning, but, I'm quick to tell people that because I'm a posing coach. I was like, you can bring your best package, but if you don't display it when the judges are looking, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I felt like there were time periods when I looked at some of the pictures and I was like, what was I doing?
Right. But listen, you got the attention of Steve Weinberger and Sandy, so that says a lot.
And that's what I'm like. And I tell people, I'm just like, I'm not upset because technically the Olympia was my second show as a
You're
bodybuilder.
the fourth in the world.
Right. It was my second show as a woman bodybuilder, and I had just crossed over like 12 weeks before. I can't be upset about how I placed.
Isn't women's bodybuilding great?
It's phenomenal.
It is.
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida.
A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
It is so phenomenal. And I know people get so tired of me just tooting my horn about being in women's
That's
body.
all I
But
ever
it
see
is-
you do is toot your horn about women's body. I love it.
because I love it so
Right?
much. I'm like, it's so, I told somebody one day, I was just like, there's no other way to describe it. It's like when I was in New York and I was backstage and I finally walked on stage and I got off, I said, there's no other way to describe it except I felt like I came home. I'm like, it was such a comforting feeling to be there, knowing that I can train the way I wanted to, that I could just really be, 100% just better on stage,
Yeah, so I like these little. So you're very good with Instagram and certain wordings and hashtags. So I've seen Mo Better. Mo Better is coming. Mo Better is coming, right? And I'm like, damn, this girl is on it. But you give me chills because I'm very passionate about bodybuilding. But you being top 4 in the world, I have to applaud you because you have really been preaching about women's bodybuilding. You've been putting it out there, and we need more of that. We need to bring more people into the sport of women's bodybuilding because, as you know, look, I'm tired of people saying it's dead. It's never been dead, okay? But we do need to recruit more people into the sport. Well, I do want to read something to you. That it made me want to cry, actually, just because I felt the passion. I'm looking towards my future in women's bodybuilding like climbing Mount Everest. I'm anxious about the next phase of this journey. Not because I doubt I can be Mo Better. It's because I know I'm willing to endure the pain and sacrifice that comes with chasing a dream so big it scares you. Mo Better is coming. See, that makes me just want to cry because I can feel that. That when you know what you want, you're so ready for the bodybuilding, and it's refreshing because we haven't seen something like that in a long time. Listen, there's all these girls, they work hard, but you are. I laughed at Giles because he called you the female George Peterson.
Yes.
I'm like, but you're amazing. I
Thank you.
really see you turning heads. I mean, you're going to give Andre a run for her money. There is no doubt in my mind, because you're just, when you come to a show, you come 200%.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Like I said, you're impressive. Now, I did a little birdie, not that I was stalking and said that you're going to be competing before the Olympia. Is that true?
Actually, yes. And
Now, you said a few shows.
yes, I'm like, actually, I'm only competing once before the Olympia.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just like, initially, there was a part of me, because I was like extremely excited about women's bodybuilding. I was just like, okay, I'm going to do New York again, and then I'm going to try to get an invite, and then I'm going to do the Olympia. And so my prep coach, Jordan Peterson, he was just like, okay, calm down.
Calm down. He's
It
awesome.
was just like, how about we focus on just, the big fish. He was like, I know that you want to get out there and give the fans, because, bodybuilding there's not a lot of shows that put it in there, except the Wings of Strength. And so, he was like, I understand your passion and how excited you are. He's like, but you got to remember what your goal is. Don't get so caught up in the excitement that you lose focus of the journey. And so, I reeled it back just a little bit. And so the thing is that I was excited to get the invite to the Rising Phoenix. And so, and everybody's like, well, why would you be excited? Because you're in the Olympia. I was like, it's like when you get that invite to the Arnold. This is our Arnold. I was just like, and it's exciting. No disrespect to the Arnold, but what a lot of people don't realize is women's physique, it's not really an invite.
No.
And so
it was at one point.
And so
but then he changed it, yeah.
And that was the whole thing. It was just, so when I actually did the Arnold, I found out, I was like, oh, it's not really I just need to tell you I want to be in it. Oh, okay, yay.
There's no challenge.
Right, I was like, yay, we're all in it, So they was like, aren't you excited? I was like, I'm excited to do the Arnold. I was just like, but the other divisions like figure and open bodybuilding, I was like, there's some greats that don't get an invite. So it's a privilege when you get it. And so that's what I told people. I was just like, they were like, well, you're fourth in the world. I was like,
wait a minute. You could get $50,000 cash in your pocket and a hot-ass muscle car.
That is true. But not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets that first place. But the thing is that, and don't think that I'm not gunning for that, but the reality is it was just the idea that the selection committee thought I was worthy for the invite, because just like other shows, it's only a small pool. And of all the people that are, gunning for it, and there are some great bodybuilders out there, who have been in the division longer than I have. And so I told people, I was just because I did well at the Olympia doesn't mean that I was going to get that invite. I was like, I felt like it was 90%. I said, but until that officially comes out, I said, no, I'm not going to just automatically add it to my list of stuff. So when I got the email, even though I saw the announcement, but when I got the official email, that I was like, I felt the butterflies, just like when I got the Olympia qualification. And so I was like, oh my God, it's 16 weeks, Mo Better's coming early. But yeah, so I'm just like, I'm excited about that. And then because I've always wanted to go overseas, because I feel like they need to see the look that is women's bodybuilding. A lot of people always say that, and I've had AJ, who's with female bodybuilding channels.
Yes.
He was like, well, why don't more of you guys come over to, do some of the, the European shows and everything? And I was just like, a lot of us, we are looking at that. I said, that's one of the things that I committed to do. Even before the Olympia finished, I was like, I want to make sure, because I want to be an ambassador. I think most of us do now that there's been new life breathed into the division, that we want to start, showing people that, number one, it's not dead. Number two, those people who don't really understand, because a lot of people, they look at me, they were just like, are you bodybuilding? I was like, see, the thing that you don't realize is that we don't look as big in life as we do on stage. On stage, we're bigger than life. I was like, but yes, I said, I'm a woman's bodybuilder. And they were just like, wow. I said, that's because not enough information, not enough awareness is out there. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is let people know. It's just like, this is women's bodybuilding. I am women's bodybuilding.
You're a walking billboard.
And so that's, people always like, so when I post my pictures and oh, that's great. Oh, by the way, this is women's bodybuilding. So when you're up there and you're looking at all the other divisions, we're fabulous too. We're the queen of fabulosity. We're the ultimate divalicious when it comes to divisions.
I'm writing down all these things.
So, but I tell people, I was just like, even though I enjoyed every division that I was in, but it's something about the camaraderie, and maybe it's because and just real talk, I feel like we're more, we as in women's bodybuilding are more attacked. We're more mistreated.
That's why we have the Queen Cobra here. Strike 'em.
But that's the whole thing, is just like, there's so many people who just make assumptions without even really seeing us. And I always tell people that, I was just like, I know that you're looking at me, but do you see me? I was like, and I feel like a lot of times they don't see women's bodybuilding for the beauty, for the elegance, for the art that it is. And so I always want to just relay that. I'm just like, this division is divinely beautiful. And I was just like, contrary to what people are thinking, it's not dead. We're here to stay.
Right. And I'm happy you said that, because it is definitely not dead as many people think. It was never gone.
Right. It was sleeping.
It was sleeping.
It was sleeping.
But it's such a great honor that you're part of history of the first ever Miss Olympia.
Oh, there were no words. People are like, I can't believe that you made the changes that you made. I was just like, it was coming back for the first time. I was just like, it was the inaugural comeback. I said, that was going to be history. I said, there was no way I was coming into that show just showing up. I was like, you have to make a statement.
Where do you get your fire from? Where are you from?
Actually, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area.
Born and raised in Chicago?
Western suburbs of Chicago,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So, yes, I am just naturally extra. I get that from my mom.
I was going to say, tell me about your mom and dad and, growing up. What was that like?
Well, it's just like, I have a very large family. I have 7 siblings.
Oh my gosh.
6 of them living. My oldest brother died when he was very young. Well, I'm just like, I didn't know him, but I'm second to the youngest of the family, so, which is hilarious. But anyway, my family, we go from one end of the spectrum to the next. We have the quiet, reserved, and then we have the hyperactive, just into everything. That was me. So the thing is that, my mom was just like, you need to just be you. And whatever that means, whatever that takes, I'm going to help you get there. So it was the kind of mindset, excuse me, of putting me into anything and everything just for me to find my voice. So I did gymnastics, I did volleyball, I did, actually I played the clarinet for a time period.
Clarinet?
Yes, I was quite good. Very.
Should have brought your clarinet and played something for us.
I gave that up for track and field.
Wow.
So I'm like, track and field became my first love. And so started running in the 4th grade, became an elite power sprinter, and qualified for the Junior Olympics, placed bronze medalist in the 400, went to college, competed a little bit after college.
You ever thought about the Olympics?
Actually, I did. The reality is that I thought that's what my destiny was, that I was going to be an Olympian for track and field.
Right.
But I wound up breaking my femur. And then after I recovered from that, I wound up having another car accident. A Domino's pizza truck ran into my car head on and destroyed my ACL. So, my sports surgeon, he was just like, you can continue trying to run competitively and need a knee replacement before you turn 25, or you can just retire from it. So I wound up retiring before I could actually go to the Olympic trials. But, it was one of those things that I always feel like the good and bad in your life, it all happens to guide you to your greater good. And so, went off to corporate America, did that for a while, started
But
in
you have an MBA, right?
Yes, I have an MBA.
Well, you have a few other things. You're just a jack of all trades.
Yeah, that's one reason I always tell people, they're like, oh, well, I work, I don't have time. If it's important, you'll find a way.
Right.
Or if it's not, you'll find an excuse. I was like, not trying to judge, I'm just saying, you find a way. And so I got involved in bodybuilding, and I fell in love with it. It became my second love.
Well, how did that happen, you get involved? I mean, you're already the athlete, we know that, but then taking that time off, how did you get the bug?
I broke my toe kickboxing. I wound up
Did
kicking
you roundhouse kick somebody?
Yeah, I did a roundhouse kick and got the depth perception wrong and came around and kicked a bench. And so broke my toe. And so initially I thought I just bruised it. And so after a while I went to the doctor and he was like, well, you chipped a bone. It was like, so we kind of need to fuse the joint together. You won't be able to compete, it was like, you won't be able to run and anything of that anymore, but at least, it'll be better. And I was like, yeah, no. I was like, because that also sounds like I won't be able to wear my heels, and I love my heels. So went to another doctor. He was just like, we can do, a unique surgery. You're going to have the foot elevated for literally a month. Like, I was laid up with my foot completely elevated for a month. He was like, it'll heal the bone, the joint. You'll be able to run and do whatever you want to. He was like, but you've got to commit to it. And I told him, I was like, if you can get it, that I can get back to the stuff that I'm going to tick everything off my bucket list. And so that was one of the things that me and my track girls used to talk about. We're going to do a fitness competition when we finish running. And so that was the thing. I finally healed from that. Somebody told me about the Dallas Europa in 2012. And so they was like, there's a show and everything. This competitors look just like you. I thought you competed. So I went to the show and I was like, I can do this. Put my little thing together, competed in the show, thought, okay, I'm going to compete in the show, tick it off fell in love with it.
Figure, right?
Yes, in figure. And the only reason I actually picked figure, I have a little OCD. And so I initially was going to pick a woman's physique because I guess it had just came in. But then I found out, I was like, wait, so in this federation, you don't wear shoes? So I got to be barefoot. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do figure. I think it was like, I was like, I can't, no.
Barefooted on the...
No. And so, and I still have a slight issue with it, but I've worked on it. But so
I've been trying to get him to put heels in women's bodybuilding.
Well, I could do with at least, a cute little blinged out, like, footy shoe, ballerina slipper, or something fabulous,
Blinged out.
Of course it would be blinged out. Come on now.
Yes.
Just because it's bodybuilding does not mean we can be fabulously extra. So,
amen to that.
but that was the whole thing, is that's how I got started in there. But the thing that I learned is that when I first got in, they kept telling me, it was like, well, you look more physique than you do figure. It was like, so I was like, I've just started, and one of the things that I think a lot of women who come from track and field have is the problem of bringing the legs in. And so that was like my never ending struggle. And so I always told people, I was like, when you go up in divisions, what I observed as I did my research was, you have to bring in more conditioning. I said, so it doesn't make sense for me if I'm already struggling with my conditioning here, if I haven't mastered it, what sense does it make to go up to where it's even more critical? And so that was one of the reasons that I stayed, because I was struggling trying to find that right combination of cardio, food, training to bring the legs in the way they needed to. And I didn't master it until actually Omaha. That was the first time that my legs actually came in. I literally cried that morning when I woke up and they were shredded.
Who did you work with for that?
Actually, I worked with a handful of people because it was the kind of situation that, you have a lot of people, oh, I can help you. And I'm like, look, if I'm going to pay you for the service, and, people always talk about loyalty, but the reality is that I'm paying you for a service. And there's no discredit to you if you can't do it. But if you can't help me reach the goal that I'm trying to, there's no point for us to continue. So throughout that entire, from October till that show, there was like 3 or 4 months, and it was like, well, you must be cheap. No, you obviously don't know what needs to be done for me with my lifestyle, because I still was working in corporate America. I still was running a division. And so I was just like, I have to deal with a lot of stress. I work long hours. I was like, so I need you to help me find the combination to address my work life environment in addition to the competition. So I finally got to a point where I got feedback from Shelby Stearns. And so some of the information that he gave me helped me to actually bring that conditioning in. And so after that, I started working with him the next year. But that's what it was. It was just like, I found out that because of my legs, I deal with high inflammation. So I actually need to rest my legs. I used to do cardio all the way up to like maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I actually need to rest my legs much earlier. And
it brought them out more.
Right. And so that's the whole thing. The inflammation in the muscle calms down and the dryness starts happening. The water gets released. And so that's my magic combination or secret or whatever you want to call it.
Write it down, people.
And that's what I tell a lot of people. I was like, not everything works. The same thing doesn't work for everybody. And that's one of the things that kind of frustrates me about the sport is that you have a lot of new prep coaches. They did a show and all of a sudden now they're a prep coach. And so they use whatever program that their coach gave them on everybody. And they blame the athlete, which is kind of disappointing. But that's a whole nother segment. But anyway, so that's how actually I got involved with the sport, and that's why I continued to transition. Because once I figured that out, the one thing that drove me crazy is always having to hold back. So I would get ready for a season, but then after I got to a certain level, because I would always watch the shows that happened, I was like, okay, what size are they coming in? I was like, and I would always use one or two people to gauge against. I was like, I remember how I looked against her last year, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to hold back now. I need to start reeling back my workouts and everything. So every season I would train, to reshape my body, and then I would go into a maintenance mode. And so I would spend the rest of the season in a maintenance mode and just hold it. And so it became frustrating. It became beyond frustrating in figure. I literally was spent 2016 just working out with bands the entire season.
Oh my God.
And I just told him, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
So you're one of those people that looks at weights and you get big. Right?
Right. I walk past the gym and I put on like 2 pounds of muscle.
Man, I wish I had genetics like that.
So, and Bob was the person who finally told me, he was like, Mayla, crossover. He's like, you'll be fine. Crossed over to women's physique. And after a while, it was fine. But then the same thing happened. It was just like, you're getting kind of big, Mayla. So it was like, okay, holding back. So when the pandemic happened, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to enjoy training and just see what happens, And there was no shows for me to monitor. So I didn't realize just how much I was enjoying my training,
right.
Until I got to that show. And that's when I was in denial until we were backstage before going on stage and everybody took off their warm-ups.
Right, of course.
And I was looking around and I was like,
I got this.
This show, no.
Really?
At the Optima. That's when I was like, everybody took off their things and I was just like, I don't think this show is going to go as well for me as I was hoping, because I did look bigger. But I thought I looked bigger because that show normally brings in a smaller type of size. And so I was seeing a lot of newly turned pros at that show. So I was like, I'm going to look a little out of place at this show. I was like, but it's fine. I'm going to go to New York and, more of the heavy hitters that, I've competed against before. Sure. And then Gary told me, he was like, no, you need to leave the division altogether.
So when you won New York, did Gary give you the nudge and say, I told you so?
Actually, no. Which was, I'm sure if I would have saw him, he would have said so, but it was like the whole fanfare of doing the show, and I guess the surprise, because, they didn't put me on the list till Wednesday night because I didn't get the approval to cross over to Wednesday. So I wasn't on the competitor list the entire time.
They were sweating bullets when they saw you. Oh my God,
right.
Who's this girl?
They were like, oh, this must be a typo, because they actually also accidentally had a bikini competitor on the list. So they was like, Mayla's name is on here by accident. So, when I showed up and they were just like, yeah, so why are you here?
Really?
Well, they still were surprised, So, but it was great. And so everybody was congratulating. They was just like, you look so at home.
You looked awesome, and you looked at home.
And they was like, this is the best thing that you could have done, Now, I'm sure that some of the women's physique competitors were telling me that for other reasons.
Yeah, because they don't want you back. Yeah.
But overall, a lot of people were saying the same thing that I said when I was backstage in New York. When I looked at everybody, I felt like I was a part, like I just felt like I was one of the same. And I was like, this was a sisterhood, and I felt like I belonged. And so it was great.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
Well, even at the Olympia, you got that feeling where
At the Olympia, it was just beyond. There's no words. And that was my 4th Olympia, but there was no words. It was such a wonderful experience. It was so fabulous.
was stepping on as a bodybuilder with all the other bodybuilders. Some people have they say, oh, they don't get along and they're just to themselves. But no, it wasn't like that. Everybody was together. And
we were backstage just cutting up. We were annoying all the photographers. We want to take this kind of picture. Ooh, there's a cage over there. Missy's cage.
I saw the
can
cage thing.
Can you take a picture of us? And they was like, you guys supposed to go. Bob's on the stage talking right now. Come on, everybody get in the cage real quick. It was so much fun, and everybody was helping each other. We were helping each other with their hair, their makeup, their clothes. It was just like a family. But I tell people, I was like, but that didn't mean that everybody wasn't hungry to win. So it was that kind of thing. I feel like women's bodybuilding is similar to how it is with the men, because men can be fiercely competitive. And the second they get off stage, they're cool.
Right.
They're friends. You see it all the time with Kai and Phil when they used to compete. They would go at it, and they were fine backstage. Women are so rare about that, but in women's bodybuilding, it's like that, and I love it.
Well, it would be interesting if we were on stage and we're knocking the elbows. Trying to fight for who's going to be in front.
Right.
Or then trash talking, because when you hit the back,
I
there's
love that.
trash talking going on. Come to the front, no trash talking.
But what's funny is that now that so many of the shows have the cameras, and you can see the television and everything, you can see them. That's what makes it hilarious. You can see, they're talking about, I got you. You see that? I got you. I'm like, really? Really?
That's what I would love to see on the women's bodybuilding.
I know, that would be so awesome. I'm like, because, like I said, in the other divisions, it's not like that.
No.
And so that... And I
Margie's good at that. She's good at that.
Oh,
she has fun.
Hilarious. She's hilarious at it. But that's the reason I think that I am so uber excited about women's bodybuilding, is because it was like that in track and field for me. And so I never understood the mindset of a competitor hating another competitor because they wanted the same thing that you did. It's almost the equivalent of me hating you because you're a woman too. And there's no logic behind it. All of us want to be the best that we can be. And so that shouldn't take away from being civil and sportsmanship. It should push you to be better. And that's what I love about it. I tell people, I'm just like, I want to be the best in the world. Am I upset that I'm not the best in the world? I was like, no. I said, because every woman that was on that stage, before I got on that stage, pushed me to be the best that I can be. And it's going to continue. I'm going to continue pushing myself because I want to push them. I want us to always get on stage and bring something phenomenal. It shouldn't just happen at the Olympia. Right. It should happen at every show, just like the men. There's no reason we shouldn't do the same.
What would be fun is if with our posing routines that we can have costumes, props.
I so wish we could do that.
You would be really good at it. You have extraordinary posing routines. I would
so be extra with that. I'm just like feathers and masks and everything. I'm like, I always look at the thing. I'm just like, well, technically, it doesn't really say that you can't have the costumes in the finals when you look at the guideline.
Yeah, with Sandy,
I know. It's just like, but just because it doesn't say it doesn't mean you can do it.
I had a 007 outfit, ready to go with the collar and bow tie and cufflinks, and she pulled me. I had to take it off. It's just a little thing,
right? And I'm like, but I do. I really think it would really take it to the next level. I'm like, but
I love what you're doing, women's bodybuilding. You're one of the most active people right now as the athletes pushing women's bodybuilding. Every day you have such a positive quote, and if I was a person looking back as a fan and I saw that, I was like, wow, she makes me want to get into bodybuilding. I would want to be like you, because you just put off this ray of sunshine. You make bodybuilding seem like it's just incredible, and it is. So my question to you is, if I'm a rookie and I want to start bodybuilding, what would be the advice you would give me?
Well, the first thing I would say is that, because a lot of times when it is a rookie that's coming into women's bodybuilding, you know, I always tell them, it's like, are you ready to get on stage? Because a lot of times they don't have the muscle maturity or the muscle density to get on stage as a woman bodybuilder. And I always tell them, it's like, yes, I crossed over, but I crossed over because they told me that my body was ready. I was like, if you're coming in, you're doing women's bodybuilding, make sure that you're ready to do the division justice. I said, because if you're not, then earn your bones. I said, go through the ranks. I said, that's what I did. I said, start and figure. There's no shame to start someplace with the goal of getting here. Because when you get here, you need to bring the best that you can bring. And so that's what I always want to let them know. I was like, but if you're apt on doing it, I said, you got to put in 120%. I said, because it's not, that's not to take away from any other division. I said, but it is the epitome of bodybuilding. It is the upper echelon of when it comes to the actual conditioning, the actual just 3D dimensional look, action figure on pictures. I said, that whole thing that it looks like the person is jumping off the picture. I said, that's women's bodybuilding. I said, so if you're not ready for that, I said, wait until your body is ready for that. I'm not saying that you have to be the size of women pro. I said, but there's no reason that you shouldn't be bringing that exceptional you to the stage. And that's the thing that I always want to tell the rookies or the ones who are just coming into it. Don't let anybody convince you that because you're amateur, you're supposed to bring in a subpar package. I said, you're not going to look as polished or as developed as a pro, but you should look like you take this sport serious.
Now, you're a posing coach. You're also a contest prep coach?
I do online contest prep, but I'm a body development coach. And so I only, you're a personal trainer? No. I'm like individuals who are in other sports, sports performance. I help with people improving their sports performance, like soccer and volleyball, even football. But athletes who are trying to bring up body parts. And so, I assess them and I was like, okay, if you're in this division, this is what they're looking for. This is what you need to work on. And then I work with them for a couple of months or how long it takes to get that done. And so once I finish my job,
Tell me something nobody knows about you.
Something that nobody knows about me.
Juicy. Make it juicy.
I used to have a pet, albino Burmese python. Very few people know that.
So I actually saw that on Instagram.
Yes.
She
Nefertiti
was cute. And I was going to have a snake handler come in with a python.
Oh, that would have been so awesome.
The same as what you had. Because look, I can hold a snake. I'm okay, but I'm afraid it's going to pee on me. Do they pee on you?
No, they don't. Actually, they don't. I'm just like Nefertiti. And the picture that I that's when she was like, she was a baby.
Cute.
Yeah, she was such a baby. I got her when she was really young.
Did she give you little kisses?
Actually, she did. I'm just like, I used to come home from work and she would curl up in my lap and she would come around and she would lay right here.
Aww.
And so, because she loves, I'm like, they sense the vibrations. And so that's how the vibrations of the person, of your body and of your voice, that's how they recognize things. And so, she knew it was me. And so she would lay there. And so it was and I would talk to her. And people were just like, you're kind of weird. And I was like,
you're kind of weird.
This is my baby.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm just like, I wind up having to let her go when she was about 10 feet long. And mainly because my mom was concerned because she used to sleep in the bed with me. She didn't like her tank, and because they're cold-blooded.
So wait a minute, she slept in the bed with you?
She would sleep, I'm like, even though she had her own room, like she had her own storage room, and so.
So she would, when she's sleeping, you're waking up, where is she at? She's on your face?
No, like along she would slide up and like her, she would along my body.
I have to go a certain place with this. So you're sleeping, did she did she ever go up the hoo-hoo?
No, I'm just like, no, she didn't go up the hoo-hoo because it was all about, well, technically, I guess.
You know what I mean?
This is really going to the left, but that's okay. I'm just
sorry.
Like, no, because I'm like, I was about to go there with you, and I'm actually going to. I'm just like, because I guess technically that is a warm area for women, but I'm like, the reality is like, it's the same for them as sunning on a rock. A rock gets warm in the sun, so, in the evening, as it got cooler, they sensed the heat. in the environment. So she would just slide underneath it, and she would just slide up and let's lay straight along my body.
That's so sweet.
And so it was. And so, it made dating very difficult.
Really?
Well, a lot of guys, when they find out you have a snake, they might be cool with it.
All happy about that, though. Oh, she got a snake. Ooh, she freaky.
Well, here's the whole thing is like a lot of guys who think they're cool and they're like, oh, I like that, but when they would come to my place and she's just free. All of a sudden it's like, well, why is she out? Oh wait, I thought you didn't have a problem with a snake, And so when they sense a new body, vibration, they're going right for it.
Wow.
Because first thing they want to know is this food, and so they sense and it's like, okay, that's too big to be food. That's fine. It doesn't look like it's a threat, and they go about their business. But most people, they freak out. You come in and you see a snake sliding right for you.
Right.
And so that was.
Is that what she would do? So they come in and she's just going.
Oh yeah,
towards.
I'm like, the second the vibration comes into the room, like they can sense it.
So it's not like she's defending you. Like, who's this messing with my mom?
No. She would come in and just like, hey, what is this? Because it's the whole thing is just, is this food or is this,
this food?
Or is this a predator?
Yeah.
And so it's just natural instinct. Is this something that I can eat, or is this something that I need to flee
Did you ever
from?
strike anybody?
Actually, yes. I'm like
One of your boyfriends?
No, I'm just like, didn't have, I'm like, there was only one that actually made it through. Because I used to use it as like, to weed out the
test.
The test. It's like, no, come pick me up. No, come inside real quick. They creak, this is not going to work. But actually, when they shed their skin, as they get larger, they become a little blind.
Oh.
And so, and that's when they become hyper defensive because they really can't see. And so anything that comes in the presence and everything,
Can I make a recommendation for a photo shoot?
Oh, I'm doing a snake
With
shoot.
a snake, honey.
I'm doing a snake shoot.
Sexy.
I've already
Your
asked
photo
them.
shoots with Jay and these other guys are hot.
Yes, I'm like, that was one of the things.
And a whip.
Yes, I'm just like, that was one of the things I said, I need to, because Sean Nelson, he said he was going to do, he did a snake. And I was like, I so want to do one with you. I was like, somebody with a snake, I would love to do it.
I want to read you some fan responses and comments because I posted the Q&A.
Okay.
So some of these are kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe you asked me that, but you don't have to answer. So there are a lot. Marry me. Somebody's wanted to marry you. They asked to post more feet. I want to see more of your beautiful feet.
Okay.
So you're so pretty. How many days for abs in a week? So how many times train your abs?
Right now, because I am trying to, I recently had hernia surgery. So that was something I was struggling with last year and everything. So my waist was actually a little thicker than it normally was because it had gotten to a negative place. And so I had the surgery earlier this year. And so at this time, I'm training them about 3 times a week. So.
Favorite pose?
Favorite pose now is my my signature pose.
The crucifix?
Pardon?
The crucifix?
Not the crucifix. The goddess with the waterfall.
Oh, the goddess
yes.
with the waterfall. I like
so
that.
holding the vase, it's one of the anyway. So that's one
that's
of that's
Olympia pose you
yes.
did, right? Yes.
So that's my new signature pose, and I actually love that one. I'm actually having a guy is making a sculpture of it.
Wow.
So I'm excited about that. So that's my favorite one.
Oh, that's pretty hot. I love that. What's your favorite country you visited?
My favorite country that I have visited was actually Ireland.
Oh, I was supposed to go last year, but damn COVID stopped that.
Yes, I'm just like, I've been to, well, I haven't been that many places, unfortunately, because of work, but over the last couple of years, I have visited, obviously, Jamaica, but in the UK, but the UK was predominantly, closed down because of COVID, but Ireland, I loved Ireland so much. Only thing I didn't love, the food was atrocious. Absolutely atrocious, but everything else was fabulous.
Did you go North and South Ireland?
North Ireland, yes.
Ireland. If you can pick one favorite sweet treat, what would it be? Now, looking at you, I would think you don't really cheat.
I don't really. When I'm true into prep mode, I do stay true to it. But I do love sweets. I'm an avid baker, like from scratch. And when everybody always, can you bake real food, like Thanksgiving dinner?
What's your go-to for baking?
Oh my God. Tropical pound cake or death by chocolate
Tropical
cake.
pound cake.
Yes.
Like the Tortuga cakes, like a rum cake, like that? No.
Well, no. I'm like it's pretty much a traditional pound cake, but it doesn't have the fruit, but
Does
it
it
has
have
the
alcohol in it?
juices. No, it has all the juice and flavors of various fruits that you get that tropical taste to it,
okay.
and then the Death by Chocolate. So those two are my go-to.
Do people die when they have this stuff?
Oh yes, I'm like in more ways than one. Usually, Death by Chocolate, they're dying because they have to go to the bathroom because it's running through them, but they say it's worth it. They're just like it's
Hey,
worth
it's
it. Every
chocolate.
time.
Anything's
Right.
worth
Thank
it,
you.
right? How long you been training for?
Oh, I know when I hear that one, it's always so. Okay, technically, I started training as in lifting weights, like right around the age of 14 because I was in track and field. I was an elite track and field runner. When it comes to bodybuilding, because in track and field we train for power and strength. So when I crossed over to bodybuilding, obviously for aesthetics, I've been training for bodybuilding for 8 years. So
Can you deadlift in high heels?
can I deadlift and how? Oh, honey, I can barely deadlift on flat foot because of my knee issues and my hip. But I can fake it in high
You
heels.
can fake it. What type of guy do you usually go for?
I go for the corporate geek. I am for more of the, which people are always so surprised. I'm like, I'm into the guy who's really brainy, you know, who's into, like, I'm into like Lego building. I'm into
Legos.
sci-fi. Yes.
Sci-fi.
I'm
Favorite
like-
movie, sci-fi.
Oh God, come on, The Matrix.
Matrix.
I'm like,
Okay.
it's a classic. I'm like, it's a classic, you know, sci-fi movie. If I have to go for that one movie that I have to go with, but yeah, that one would be the first one that's off my head. But
Legos. Have you ever been to Legoland?
no, I am planning on. No, I'm like, when I was supposed to be going, I'm like, usually there was always something that happened. And so last year when I was like, come hella high water, I'm going, COVID, and so it was closed
Was
down.
meant to
So
be.
this year I'm going.
Going
But
to
yes,
Legoland.
I'm always building.
Do
Right
you have a
now,
big collection of Legos?
I have, because I build, I prefer the cars.
Okay.
And so I'm getting ready to build, I got a Lego for my birthday. I'm building the classic Batmobile.
Oh,
I'm so
JM
excited
would
about
love that.
I'm so excited about
Did you
that.
tell
one.
JM that? Would you do?
No,
You
I
should
didn't.
tell him.
I'm about to tell him. And so I'm like, I got it. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
So I'm getting ready to build that. And so a few people, when I posted on Instagram that I got it, they were like, you've got to show me when it's finished. So I'm excited to
How
do
long does it take to build something like that, you think?
It depends on how much time you dedicate to it. Because I'm like, this one has over 6,000 pieces. Yes, so it takes...
Patience?
Yes.
Mayla, what can we expect from you with the Olympia? What are we looking at? What do you and JP got in store for us?
Well, I'm like, the thing is that like right now, I've been spending ever since coming out of the Olympia and before I had my surgery, I've been working on, you know, improving certain body parts to bring it up so I feel like my frame a little more and that I feel, from my perspective, that I have a more complete physique. So I'm like, I'm very hard on myself, and so there's areas that I know that I could be more better to make an insane physique. And so now we're looking at just really taking my previous package, bringing it up a notch, and just bringing it in shredded. So
Girl, it's going to be fire at the Olympia.
I'm really
Holy smokes.
excited
Because
about
you
this.
are a threat.
I'm like,
I'm just saying, I know, look, I'm all about us Iron Sisters, but you are something special. And I'm so happy that you made the switch from women's physique to bodybuilding. This is where you belong. This is where you're going to stay forever.
yes, I tell people, I'm like, I'm women's bodybuilding, and I'm here to stay.
We need a book from you, first of all. We need that snake picture. We need a snake
Oh
photo
my gosh.
shoot. A whip, okay?
Yes.
Gotta have that. I would love to see more training videos.
I
educating.
am working on that. I'm like, because that was one of the things that, you know, people have that follow me. They were like, why don't you do more training videos? And it's because part of it's because I am old school in a sense that when I get into the gym, I'm just all about the train. But at the same time, I do realize that, you know, it's with social media and the people who want to truly understand, you know, how things are done. And especially because, let's just be honest, there are so many people who think that this is all drugs. And I was like, no, it's hard training. You know, I was like, and what you think beasting out is, because you're in the gym for 5 hours, probably isn't really beasting out. And so that's what I tell people. I'm like, I'm going to start doing more training videos.
This is what I love about you, because look, I'm not looking at the. Everybody always thinks drugs, just corn fed. No, when I look at you, clean muscles, which tells me you're very strict on your diet. Your training is to the T. Like, you're not one of these people that says, okay, you got 10 reps, I'm going to do 9. No, you go all the way and then some. So I applaud you because you just have a beautiful everything.
Thank
and
you.
It's going to be an exciting year for you. The year of the Queen Cobra. Do you want to say anything to your fans, friends, your sponsors?
Oh, okay. First, I want to give an extreme thank you to all the Fit Fams that have been following me on my entire journey, from figure all the way to bodybuilding, and those of you who supported me into bodybuilding. I promise you that I am going to do more to bring you deeper into my prep and to have a better understanding about MAYLA ASH Queen Cobra. I also want to let you know that I am planning to really bring an insane physique to this season. So, and I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride. I want to thank Wings of Strength for allowing all of this to happen. I would not be here if Wings of Strength didn't keep pushing life into this division, that we could bring it to the level that it's at right now. So I thank them. I also thank Flexibella Couture, who made my fabulous Skittles rainbow suit and my Queen Cobra suit that I actually wore at the Olympia, and all the fabulous things that she has pulled together for me. Liquid Sun Rays, even though I just became a sponsored athlete with them, I've always used them regardless. I'm like, because it's one of the most fabulous tans that you can have. It's flawless. The mahogany glow that I have on my photo shoots and on the stage, second to none. I'm like, but also I want to thank my, oh goodness, there's so many people I want to thank and everything, but also my jewelry sponsor. But then more than anything, I want to thank Jordan Pearson, trained by JP. I'm like, when I was going through a struggle time period, coming out of New York Pro, and he contacted me and was willing to jump on the ship 10 weeks out. I'm like, for him to work with me and to help me bring the best package that I had ever pulled together. I'm so thankful for our partnership, and I cannot wait for us to continue this journey, because trust me when I tell you, more better is coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you have it. Thank you very much, MAYLA Ash. Number 4 in the world, top Olympian 2020 New York Pro champ. I cannot wait to see what you bring, because it's going to be epic.
Thank you so much, Annabelle.
Thank you so much for being on my show. Wings to Strength brand ambassador MAYLA Ash. Till next time, Fit Rockstar out.